but the second time you're like, ah, that is what that word is. I totally get it now. The only thing that's interesting about this is that you can see that this person was divorced, and that was annotated here, and that would need translating. Even if really all they want is a birth certificate, again, it's our job to translate what's on there. So, whereas the other one had 0 things on the side, this definitely does, and that part needs to be translated as well. So whether you choose to put it up top or on the bottom, you're just gonna make a note about that. And a note about divorces, the Immigration Service, a lot of countries choose to have something annotated either on your birth certificate or your marriage certificate that is the small thing. And oftentimes we'll try to get away with giving the Immigration Service that because many countries' divorces are like 10 pages long. You know, they're like, on the 23rd of July, I was wearing a white suit and it was raining outside, and it just like goes like on and on and on. And as you can imagine, that is a ton of money to translate, right? So, but it's just kind of an interesting thing. We might have some divorces if people are feeling really confident. We could certainly figure out a price, and but I will warn you that it is not. I'm making a joke about what they say, but it's more like under Article 17, passed by the 17th Congress of the Blue Horn, of like, there's like a ton of legal language that you aren't even totally sure what they're saying, and it's really, divorce is really difficult in those cases because it's trying to, again, figure out what is important for me to just write down that it's under Article 17, and what is important for me to kind of make sure is clear to the people reading it. But anyway, so sometimes there's divorce stuff, but it usually doesn't fly with the Immigration Service. They usually want something longer. So you can see that I said somebody said, along the left side of this document is the following information. Right? So that's what she chose to do. For that one, she did it up top, and then she went to which is kind of what I like to do as well, and then she went to the meat of the translation. Going down, just keep going, unless anyone wants to talk about that marriage certificate. Yep, translator certification, again, sign. This is the new marriage certificate, so this is interesting, more probably to me than anyone else here, but because it's new. So you can see that this is the same country and the same town, but this is what they look like now. So, yep, yay. That is, next one, I love the Dominican Republic because everything is like this. Like their birth certificates, their marriage certificates, like it looks exactly like that. So, yay, DR. Anyway, so that's one from the Dominican Republic. Go on. And then this, I've never seen one before. This is one that we're doing currently. This is Argentina. So I have a couple that just got married, you can see, recently. And I haven't even looked at this yet, but it's kind of, again, it's very fascinating what people find relevant, you know what I mean, per country. So that's Argentina. So that is kind of translation in a nutshell. Also, we do have full fee waiver clients that sometimes we end up doing a translation for totally for free, and those would be passed along to you as well. But the idea is that there's somebody else who does them for 20, and I always try to tell my clients, look, if you can figure this out, you can get somebody else who's bilingual, who's not like a direct family member to self-certify. I'll just give you the language and you can do it great. Most people are like, no, like I want to do it right, and no matter what I say, they're not going to believe me that like I have some sort of magical power, which is okay. Sometimes sleeping better at night is good. And then, we'll give them a list and say there's a guy who does it for 20, and but a lot of times people do want to go with us. So I feel like it's really win-win because they're going to get it done somewhere anyway. UMass is about 60 for one of these. So just so you know, please, I've never seen anyone cheaper than 20, and a lot of places just go up. There's a woman who does kind of a part-time translation business. She also teaches the medical interpreting courses for BIC3. If anyone stays locally, she's awesome. Her name is Solana Kirby. She has her own business, but no one's doing these overnight. You know what I mean? Like very, very, very rarely. It's more of kind of an informal thing. So, but a week to me seems like a reasonable. But again, like getting back to, especially, hopefully you guys have a better understanding of like how short these are. hopefully a week is realistic, and it would be nice for me to be able to, from an accountability factor, say to somebody, you can come back in 1 week. And if we get it earlier, great, we'll call them. And if we have to an extension, great. But along with this, like, you're paying for something professional thing, we would like to keep it, you're paying for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we want it to look good, we want it to be as accurate as possible, you know, and not have spelling errors in people's names. And we would like it in a reasonable period of time. Like, I think that's all pretty reasonable. Hopefully. But again, I don't think that you guys, I wish I could say, like, you know, I don't know how many people are in this room, but like that would be a lot of money even if everyone did one translation. And I hope that that might happen, and I hope that we might continue it on next semester. But I don't know. I don't know how many people we're going to get. Occasionally, so it is mostly Spanish that we get. But we also get French. We have a lot of African clients. We, from West Africa in particular, the Ivory Coast and Nigeria, and Ghana, which doesn't need translations. We, once in a while, will get, well, definitely Portuguese. And I don't know how comfortable people who speak Spanish in here feel with Portuguese. It's something that I feel very comfortable translating, but it's really kind of a personal comfort level. Some people seem to just be like, oh, yeah, like this is really similar, and other people, I don't know what it is. You know, some people just feel more comfortable than others. But definitely, like, Hillary emailed me today that we need a Polish interpreter. You know, so there's definitely other languages, and it's good to know, do you know what I mean, like who we have in the community. But I will say that most of it is from Spanish to English. So, any other questions? I'm sorry, I really didn't get, yeah?
So what would happen if, like, you did have a mistake on the translation?
Yeah, like, again, it is not the end of the world. I think we have to look at, like, what kind of mistake it would be. Like, obviously, I don't think it's gonna be a mistake that, like, makes zero sense, you know what I mean? And could we even really classify it as a mistake? But again, that's why we're having these coordinators look them over. Mistake for me is more like something that a client is going to recognize immediately, that like the immigration service at an interview is going to be like, oh, like they said you were born on the 4th of July, but you're saying you were born on the 5th of July. Again, you have to understand people probably have 2 other pieces of documentation that say the 5th of July.
Sorry, people are actually like double checking.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the thing, is that I expect you guys to double check the spelling of people's names and their dates of birth, like I think being super important, right, and the spelling of their parents' names. But there is somebody on the other end who would be checking just that stuff as well. And again, even if you're not fluent in Spanish, I don't think it's crazy for other people to fact check that, because they're not fact checking the like, I, the undersigned head of the civil registry, like nobody has time to do that. It's really more kind of spelling of certain things. And again, like let's say you spelled Guayaquil wrong once and it was written correctly 5 other times. Is anyone going to care? Yes.
I want to ask about the format. So
Yeah.
day, month, year. That's how you write it in Spanish. If it's only numbers.
Yeah.
What, like if I translate that, would I put month, day, year?
So the answer is it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like I would do it according to how they do it here, right? So this one says fecha de nacimiento marzo 18 de 1971. So
Right,
it says March 17th of 1971. There are other ones that would be like 3-day, March month, like year 1971. So just do it according to how they have it. And if you feel like there's going to be confusion, spell out the number, put it in parentheses next to it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, we definitely do not want to do like that's, even if that's how they have it, then it's usually, I've never run across it not being clear what they mean by this. It's usually written out because of this thing. So even if it's like this, I would still make it clear whether it's January or September. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But definitely let the translation be your guide. And again, there is no real set format, which is kind of freeing. Yes?
Will we have these examples in front of us? Just
So,
the formatting.
yeah, I mean, but again, there's no format, do you know what I mean? Because every single thing is going to be different, and I certainly can pass along a few of them. My warning to you about that is to not rely on them, do you know what I mean? Because sometimes if I have if the city, if everything is matching up so closely, it really is just a matter of me changing stuff. But in other cases, like I'll go through and I'll notice that really stuff is different, and if I'm relying on the original one, sometimes it gets a little bit, like, I feel like I've made mistakes because I forgot to change something on it. So I would say, like, these are good for you to just, you know, if you wanna, if you wanna look at how she translated is issued by the undersigned chief civil registry, or like that I did something like totally different, like that, just to get your own language flowing. But then I would do your own translation of it and not necessarily rely on that, because I do think there's a higher probability that you're going to rely on that and then get something wrong, which is not the end of the world. And hopefully, again, a client is looking it over, right? So I will have it in front of me on the computer, and if they catch something, I can change it. And it really isn't like somebody's going to be deported because, like you spelled Guayas wrong. Like, it's going to be okay. But again, because of this level of professionality, and I think this is good experience for all of you in general, in terms of like, this is something that I've been able to make a little bit of money on the side that anyone who is bilingual probably can. Do you know what I mean? But it's a good note to know that like, we're not infallible. You know what I mean? And the more of these that you do, the more that you have to be careful that you are not really.
Actually also being